Hey guys, what is up? Austin here, aka Bowtie Guy 97. So, about a few months ago, I bought 1 3/4" spacers for the rear of my truck. And if you're not familiar with the channel, I have a 2004 Chevy Silverado 1500. Now, if you're familiar with GM trucks, they have what's known as the bulldog stance and or the wider front track. And what that means is the front tires and wheels are actually out a little bit further than the rear. And especially when you lift these trucks, it is amplified. I have the 4-inch rough country lift on this truck, and it amplified it to where it's about 2 inches difference between the front and the rear. So I installed the spacers to match the front and the rear. Now, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the spacers, and I think everything you've heard about spacers is the purchaser's or the user's fault that they failed. And what I mean by that is I have about 7,000 miles on these spacers. I go up and down the highway 80 miles per hour 4 times a week. Each way is 50 miles, so you can do the math how much interstate driving that is. I do a lot of around town. I tow, I haul. There's a lot of stress potentially on those spacers. And here I am driving around right now around town at about 35 and my wheels are not falling off. So what this video is here about today is to try to clear up the water, clear up the myths and everything that you've heard about spacers. And the reason why you see so many pictures or videos about the spacers failing, people's wheels falling off, and I will explain to you why that's not always the spacer's fault. So as soon as I get somewhere where I can park the truck, we'll get out, we'll show the spacers, and we'll get started. Alright guys, so let's get to talking about the reasons why spacers are really not that dangerous. Now, like I was saying, the front has no spacer on it on this truck. That is just the wider front track from the bulldog stance on GM trucks. The wheels are a 22 by 12 -51 offset. That's why they've got the stance that it does. And really, I want to show you guys that the front actually still sticks out about another 1/4 inch than the rear anyways, so it's actually not even perfectly flush. But that is not about that is not what the video is about today. The video is about the reasons why spacers are really not that dangerous. Now, when you're seeing these videos and these pictures of trucks that have lost their wheels on the interstate or on the road, or it sheared the lug nuts off, I am willing to bet you that 85 to 90% of those are eBay spacers. You cannot just go out and expect to buy a $50 set of spacers, put them on your truck, and think that they're going to perform. I've said it time and time again on this channel, you get what you pay for. And that is, I don't know if I would ever trust an eBay spacer on my truck at all, period. You don't know where they're made. You don't know the material they're made of. And, it's cheap stance per se, but it's so not worth it. And I had my buddy call me last night, and if he's watching the video, he knows what I'm talking about. His wheel was loose. He called me. He's on the side of the road. He's hearing this awful noise, and I told him he just bought eBay spacers. I told him not to do it, and sure enough, it came loose on him. And thankfully, he caught it before it fell off. He was right there at his house, and he tightened it back down and everything. But that is what I'm getting at, is he is a perfect example of why you should not buy these cheap spacers. If you want to check the video out, I'll try to put it somewhere in the video. If not, it's on my channel. It's installing Bora wheel spacers on my Silverado is the title. I bought the Bora spacer from Custom Offsets. They are not cheap. It's like $150 for 2 of them. They're made of like T56 aluminum, I want to say. Made right here in America. They have a hub Centric Ring, and what that is it goes right through the hub of your wheel. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what the hub Centric does, when your wheel bolts on, say it bolted onto this eBay spacer, the entire weight of the wheel is on the studs itself. The eBay spacers are not hub Centric. What that lip does on these Bora spacers is when it cups right against the wheel, it takes away all that pressure on the studs. So the studs are not supporting the full weight and the full force of the vehicle. So in combination with that lip and hub centric ring in the studs, the weight is evenly distributed amongst them, and it does not put that much stress on the studs like the cheap eBay spacers do. Now, I want to get in here to show you guys, and hopefully the camera does pretty good justice. You can see back in there the black piece, you got the gray, and then the black is the spacer itself. And of course here is the wheel. Now, when you first install them, here's the next mistake people make. I think this is the specs, I think you torque 110 foot-pounds for the spacers, and then torque your wheels onto the spacers at 105 foot-pounds. Drive 500 miles, take the wheels back off, torque the spacers down to 120, then the wheels down to 110. I know that's a lot of numbers there, but it's important that you follow those steps because there's a reason. If you just bolt them on and drive and forget about them, more than likely they're going to work themselves loose. And then even though you spent the money on the big dollar spacer, it might fall off. So that's the second thing that really causes what you're seeing the issues on the Instagram and Facebook of these wheels and tires falling off. You know, like I said, I would say that of all the wheel spacers that fail, almost, I'd say 60 to 70% of them are user error themselves. The spacer probably would have held up, but the person that installed them did not try to retort them. And in this case, my buddy was in that same category. He did not go back and retort them, and had he had done it, it probably wouldn't have come loose, honestly. So, you know, everything that you see about spacers, I think, is people cheaping out, people's not reading directions or not understanding that your life is in the hands of the wheel anyway. If you're going 80 miles per hour on the interstate and your wheel falls off, I mean, you can almost forget it. I mean, there's no way you're gonna keep control at going 80 miles per hour skidding on a rotor, you know. And, you know, God forbid that the wheel, while it flies off, goes and hits another car and hurts, injures, or kills somebody else. That's extremely dangerous, and I think that it is wrong to go out, and I think it's inconsiderate for you to go and spend, just cheap out on that $50 set and risk your life and potentially the life of somebody else. Now, I know there's going to be comments on this video down in the description below. I bought eBay spacers and I've had them for 2 years and I've had no problem. Great, I'm really glad that you have, and maybe you found a set that held up good, but for the most part, I do not believe it is worth it to go and buy those eBay spacers. If you're going to want to run a spacer or you want offset, buy a good spacer or buy a wheel that's going to give you offset. Don't cheap out. Don't risk your truck, your life, and the life of somebody else with these spacers. It's not worth it. So what I really want to get at too is I've got, well, I said at the beginning of the video, about 6,000-7,000 miles on these spacers. They have been great. I did exactly what the directions said, took them off right at 500, retorqued them, and I'm having no problems at all with these spacers. Working out great. I'm not having a problem. If there ever is a problem, I'll be the first one to eat my own words or anything like that. But the spacers come with like a lifetime warranty, I want to say, and that, you're not going to be able to say that with an eBay spacer. So really, my biggest thing is don't cheap out. It's not worth it. You know, spend the extra money, do it right, protect your truck, protect yourself, and I think in the long run, you won't regret it. So I appreciate you watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions or comments, you can drop them down in the description below, as well as you can DM me at Austin04_Z71. I know we're going to get a lot of comments on this video down in the comment section about people that have done fine with their eBay spacers, and I'm pretty prepared. I'm going to be reading a whole lot about that. But, you know, with as much as I've seen people having issues with them, I'm not trusting them one bit. You know, I'm glad that you had good luck out of your spacers, but everything I've heard just points to me not trusting them. I don't think people should trust them. It's not worth it. You know, sorry to the companies out there that, you know, maybe they do have a good product and it is cheaper, but, you know, at least I know what I bought with Bora, and, you know, you can't usually say that for what you're buying on the eBay spacer. So thanks again for watching. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Any questions you got, I'll do my best to answer them, as well as DM me. I try to go through my DMs more frequently than I do the comments. Sometimes the comments get a little overwhelming and I miss some of the comments. So if you really want to get a hold of me, you can DM me. So take care. Have a great day.